President Biden and Donald Trump will make their cases on immigration policy today at the southern border.
Now, the two frontrunners in the race for the White House, of course, are holding dueling events along the Rio Grande. Both candidates have called the situation there at the southern border a crisis. And immigration policy is set to be a major topic of debate as we approach the general election.
We have team coverage there in Texas. I want to start by bringing in CBS News immigration reporter Camilo Montoya-Galvez. He is in Eagle Pass, Texas, covering Donald Trump's visit. Let's start with this new development. A federal court just blocked a bill that would criminalize migrant crossings at the state level. What can you tell us about that, Camilo? And are we likely to see Texas officials trying to pass this yet again?
Good afternoon, Errol and Lana. A federal judge in Austin just blocked a Texas law known as SB 4 that would have given officials here the power to arrest, jail, and prosecute migrants caught crossing the Texas-Mexico border illegally. It would have criminalized an action that is already a crime under federal statutes at the state level. This is a legal victory for the ACLU and the Biden administration, which had argued in its lawsuit that immigration and border enforcement are federal responsibilities, not in the purview of individual states, and that it would be a chaotic situation to allow different states across the country to set their own immigration rules. This is something that will continue to play a major impact in this election. Of course, immigration policy is becoming a defining issue. Governor of Texas, Greg Abbott, has obviously been criticizing the Biden administration and has argued that SB 4 is needed to deter migrants from crossing the Rio Grande behind me illegally. But again, critics of this law say that it would lead to chaotic situations, racial profiling, and also overwhelm public safety resources, including county jails. The law was set to take effect this Tuesday, but obviously it is now enjoined and blocked until the appeals process plays out.
And Camilo, let's focus a bit more on what we're about to see today, that effectively the leader of each party will make their case for a solution to the crisis. But CBS News polling from last May shows that the perception of people crossing the border differs based on what political party you affiliate with. We're kind of pulling up some of those numbers there. I'm wondering, in the time since so much has changed at the border, has public sentiment shifted as there has been increased attention on what's happening where you are?
Well, Errol, immigration is clearly becoming a top issue of concern for many American voters in this election in 2024. Many of them are citing it as a top concern going into the election. And it is very clear that while Republicans and Democrats are getting a lot of the blame for the situation here and the crisis here at the border over the past 3 years, the Biden administration is getting the bulk of it. Many Americans view the president's policies and his handling of this issue here at the U.S. Mexico border in very unfavorable terms, and they believe, some of them at least, that the U.S. has to return to tougher, more draconian Trump-era policies here, including a program that, as you know, required migrants to wait across the Rio Grande for their asylum hearings in Mexico, the Remain in Mexico policy. And so this issue has divided communities like Eagle Pass here along the Texas border, but they want concrete policy solutions, the residents here told us, not just political theater.
All right, well, really quickly, how is this visit by Trump being received by locals there?
Well, just like every community across the U.S., the residents here are deeply divided over this issue. Some of them support more migrants being processed by U.S. officials and the ability for the U.S. to process asylum claims. Others are worried about public safety concerns due to the influx in migration and also the lack of social services in very working class and poor communities here along the Texas border. And again, some of them are supporting some of what Trump is saying on the campaign trail on this issue of getting tougher at the border, of implementing more hardline measures to deter people from coming. But many of the residents we spoke to here in Eagle Pass say that, again, they want policy changes that actually get at the heart of this issue and that fix what has been a broken system for decades, not just political shows.
All right, Camilo, thank you.
At O'Keefe, as we saw just moments ago, is in Brownsville, Texas. That's where President Biden will visit today. Ed, it looks pretty sparse around you, but give us the bigger picture. What is the scene like where you are, and how are the folks who live there responding to the president's upcoming visit?
Errol, we are 10 miles inland from the border at a U.S. Homeland Security facility where the president will be meeting with Border Patrol officials a little later today. That's why you don't see any sign of the border here outside Brownsville, Texas. Those we've spoken to around here say the president's a little late in the sense that illegal border crossings in this part of the 2,000-mile span are down in the last year or two, as we've seen an increase closer to where Camilo is, but beyond where Camilo is, out in Arizona and California, with those that smuggle migrants across illegally knowing now that with the Get Her Tough policies that have been enacted and put in place across Texas now, perhaps they've got a better shot in Arizona and California. We should also point out, since we're talking geographic context here, where Camilo is in Eagle Pass is more than 320 miles from where we stand here. It's essentially the distance between Los Angeles and San Jose, or Philadelphia and Boston. That should give you a sense of how long the border runs, even longer than that here across Texas, how the differences, how the traffic flow can be very different, and why this is an issue that really cannot be encapsulated well in political photo ops that the two frontrunners will conduct today.
Tell us, Ed, about Biden's approach to the border crisis, how it's sort of evolved and how it's differing from Trump's stance.
Well, it began, you'll recall, Lana, by reversing essentially everything that Donald Trump had put in place, ending that Remain in Mexico policy that Camilo mentioned, ending stricter rules around asylum seekers, allowing in more people from places like Haiti, Venezuela, El Salvador, Syria, Afghanistan, that had been suffering political strife in their countries. That now, amid the 2.4 million illegal border crossings in the last fiscal year and the sudden uptick in political concern among voters about illegal immigration and border security, the president understands he's got to begin tackling this issue much more head-on than he has, which is why he wants to come here to make the political argument that while he supported that bipartisan proposal that was put together in the Senate by Democrats and Republicans, it's being blocked by House Republicans, and if they were to vote for it, it probably would pass. Republican leadership, of course, won't do that because Donald Trump is telling them not to. Lana.
All right. Ed, thank you.